Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Councilor Lindner. Okay. Councilor Lindner, yeah. So mine are running behind, but I think we'll just go ahead and get started. Hopefully we'll take it on here shortly.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go ahead and let's bring our speakers meeting to order.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilor Lindner.
Yes, here.
Councilor, thank you. Thank you. Councilor Myers. Here. Councilor Rich. Here. Councilor Cuthbertson. Here. Councilor Williams. Here. And Councilor Winter, we're hoping will arrive shortly. So there you go. Who would like to volunteer to read 2.1 for our public items and comments? Great, thank you. Go ahead.
The public comment period is designed to gain input from the public. Public comment is not intended to be a dialogue between the council, staff, and any person making a comment. Any person who raises a question during public comment should rest assured that the city staff is making note of your question, and the council and staff will work together to identify the appropriate city official to follow up with you directly.
Great, thank you. Do you have any public comments this evening? Going once, going twice, sold, I guess. All right, we'll go ahead and proceed. Next up, we've got the County Sheriff's Office report. Sheriff here, the deputy here this evening. Wait, we've got this mic all rigged up here, Steve.
Actually, we could.
But I haven't used one of these instead. Okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The hot seat. The warm seat. Was there anything outstanding that you wanted to share with us this evening before we, if we have any, I don't know if we'll have any questions for you. No? Okay. Everybody had a chance to take a look at the report? Any questions for our deputy here?
No, I mean, it looked like there was a little bit more traffic sites, which is good.
Okay.
We had mentioned before that we were hoping to get a little bit more coverage with people flying down the hill and
Going 100 miles an hour through Monroe. Councilor Lindner, did you have anything?
No, I don't. Thanks.
Okay. Councilor Myers, you're thinking?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Anyone else?
Okay. No, thank you guys for everything you've been doing. Keep up the good work.
Great. Thank you so much for helping us out down here and being here.
Yes.
We really do appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good evening. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. That's fine. Okay. Next up, we have Republic Services and their presentation. Mr. Larson is here this evening.
So this is your drive. Let's see what we got here. City Monroe. Wow. This may work. See,
You don't have to, I can.
okay, and I can certainly, let me, see if this is.
You have a full set.
It's not working. If it's not working, Steve's always a pretty good clicker.
I'm a good clicker. Yes.
Hey, Steve, there's a presentation. Is it possible to share it somehow through the
Yes.
Zoom?
Yes, Counselor, as soon as I get it all set up here, I will.
Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure that we had it online and available.
Is that mic on, Steve, or should he sit over there?
Would sir, just go ahead and turn that back on.
I think that one might be dead. Needs to be charged or
Go ahead
something.
and turn that mic
New
on.
batteries.
Let me go ahead and share the screen.
Yeah, no worries.
Now we should be shared.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if we go here,
All right,
you are ready, Mr. Larson.
great. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to come talk to you. This is a conversation I know we've been having for a couple of years, kind of stemming from some confusion of residents that are in the city and they see their neighbors out in the count outside the city limits. They have different, higher level of service than what you have here. And I'm glad I'm able to come and just kind of close the loop on that conversation. Couple things, just kind of as context, make sure everybody is on the same page, both the city council and other people who may be viewing this. Monroe, you can go ahead. Yep. Monroe is right now you guys have once a month recycling service. And that is honestly, to be completely frank, that's the lowest level of service we provide to any city. In our business unit of Western Oregon, between Salem and Grants Pass, we don't do service. We don't have service in Lanes County, so there's a spot there that I can't speak about. But so once a month recycling service. The surrounding area in Benton County has weekly recycling service and it has weekly yard debris. And there's a lot of reasons we think that people here want more service available. For one, in the county, they have that service available. And I'll be touching on it a little bit more later, but there's some stuff coming down the pike with the state and their recycling changes that are coming down the pike. And that's really gonna increase interest in recycling here in Monroe. So what we're offering today is adding weekly yard debris and weekly recycling service to Monroe. This will get you guys, you'll have the same level of service as the surrounding counties. And all of that service enhancement would be about $6.15 a month. Actually, it would be exactly that, an additional $6.15 a month. What's interesting, and we see this everywhere where we offer this kind of service, is people have the opportunity to lower or to shrink the size of their trash cart, which either offsets or gets them a bit of a discount from their previous bill. We know from Department of Environmental Quality surveys that have been done at the landfill that 30 to 40% of everything that goes into the landfill could have actually gone in either a recycling cart or a yard waste cart. So as you can see here on the screen, these are the three main ones, cart sizes. Your current 95-gallon rate right now is $36.20 a month. With a $6.15 enhancement, it would go to $42.35. But if you're at the 65-gallon level, if you have a 95 now, there's a good chance you could go to a 65. And if you see with the rate enhancement, you're actually saving a little bit of money by being able to downsize to a 65-gallon cart and being able to put your yard debris and your recycling out every week. And then on the 35-gallon cart, honestly, it's like a 35-cent increase over your current rate, but if you downsize from a 65 to a 35, but it ends up essentially being a wash for a dramatic increase in the level of service. I'm sure there's been a time or two, maybe someone in this room they have their recycling cart filled, they forget to put it out, they hear the truck and they're like, oh crud, that was my one chance this month to get the recycling out. You wouldn't have to worry about it. anymore. And it'd be a lot easier to, keep things going. You can go to the next slide. So, some of the just, benefits of recycling, I'm sure you can imagine most of these on your own, but just to vocalize them, it's easy. There's no need to remember what day to put your recycling cart out. There's no need to remember what day to put a yard debris cart out, which that's a service you guys don't currently have. More room in the cart encourages more recycling. Like I said, 30 to 40% of what goes in the landfill. If you think about your cart, it's pull 30 to 40% of that out. You could be putting that into one of the other carts and potentially downsize. So, online shopping, more and more people are shopping online. They've got these, the Amazon boxes, or if you watch Super Bowl and the eight or nine Temu ads or whatever that were going on with that. Good way to get rid of that. The other thing that may not be on everyone's radar right now, and honestly, it's not on most people's radar in the state. I've mentioned it before and other times I've been here. In 2021, the state passed a law that will massively overhaul recycling in Oregon. We don't have time to get into it, all the changes, but for the purposes of this conversation, beginning in July 2025, there's going to be a lot more items that you can put in the recycling cart, specifically around plastics. That dramatic expansion of what goes into the cart is going to be accompanied by a ton of messaging from the state and the organization whatever organization that is, that they hire or they appoint to run the expanded recycling program. So 2025 sounds like it's a long ways away, but really it's only 16 months away. And so this gets your residents up and ready and already geared towards and ready and used to recycling more. The other thing, I apologize for backtracking, that I wanted to step back. One of the reasons we're able to come to you with the low rate of $6.15 is because you do have some population density here, and that really does lower the cost of providing that service on a per account basis. So we're able to come in at that lower rate. Because if you think about it, you're going from weekly trash and once a month to weekly every single for 3 different kinds of services. So if we can go to the next slide real quick. Weekly yard waste. So right now I'm calling it yard waste, but if you do choose to go forward with this, we're actually going to start calling it organics. Because when we are able to pick up yard debris weekly, that means that you can also add your food waste in there.
Like compostable stuff.
All the food waste stuff. So, and this includes food scraps that you really shouldn't be putting in your home compost, like meat, dairy, and bones. Eggshells you can usually put in the home compost, but citrus and onions. Because we're picking it up weekly, the odor is not an issue. I was in Albany when we brought on the weekly yard debris in Albany, and even when we had the 112-degree temperatures a couple years ago, my yard waste cart didn't smell because it was being picked up every week. It's also convenient during leaf season. It helps keep the leaves in the street. People have a place where they can put their leaves. I know you don't have that many storm drains here in Monroe, but you do have a few. And if I'm not mistaken, leaves do count as a pollutant in a storm drain system. At least they have in other cities I've worked with. So that helps keep your storm drain clean. So if you do decide to move forward with this, we can get it up and running in about 30 days. So for instance, and I'm not saying this to be like a order now, high pressure salesman thing, but if you were to move forward with it tonight, we would be getting this up and running the first week of April.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
do all your customers automatically get this update, or do they have an opt-out option if they don't want?
So the only way that because
The only way it work would be to have everybody do it.
everybody do it.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that because I know somebody around here is probably gonna ask me,
Yeah,
so.
so really, it doesn't really make sense unless we're able to do
Right.
everyone, because the truck is gonna be here anyway, and that's really what the cost is running the truck and then
Mhm.
having the driver. So it doesn't really make sense to do it that way.
The pricing from the first thing, that wasn't just adding that's also having the green bin.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
so
So
it's
that's,
$6.15, you get a
Well, that's
weekly
both.
recycling and weekly yard.
okay.
So you'll be,
I just didn't know because at first you were just talking about recycling and
No,
then,
no, no.
so that price increase would also include the green bin with them.
The green bin as well.
so you'll be getting green bins out there ready then?
We'll be getting green bins out to everybody.
I've got some add-on questions to that.
Go ahead.
This is such great news and such a cool offer. I know that Counselor Myers brought up the cost. I think that this will be a hardship for some people in town, and I wonder how these rates with these pickup frequencies of all three options, how does that compare to the rest of the southern part of the county? Is that comparable, or
It's
is it
cheaper than Benton County. You guys are.
cheaper than Benton County? Okay,
Cheaper than Benton County. And the other
Fantastic.
thing also to remember is because you're getting weekly recycling service and you're getting a yard cart, which you can put
Mhm.
food waste in, that gives you the opportunity to downsize to a smaller cart, which would either offset the cost or provide a little bit of a discount.
And I'll confirm that because that's what I did when we got the recycling to begin with. I went down to the smallest cart and I have a hard time filling it.
Exactly. That's a pretty, we hear that pretty common in cities. So we were just now rolling it out in Dallas. Before we rolled it out, most people had 95s. And we expect, because we see this in every city, this happens, the portion of people that go from 95 to 65 and then from 65 to 35s is pretty significant. And it just increase that ratio of smaller carts goes up the longer that service is available, as more people get confident that, yeah, I can go to a smaller cart.
got it.
It is very doable.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Question for Steve, actually. I mean, 30 days notice isn't enough to get the city's buy-in in something like this. So I mean, if we as a council were recommending this, how would we move forward? Because obviously we want to do what the city wants to do. I know what I want to do, but I don't also want to impose something on the city if not everybody is able to do it.
Well, I think that that's a very good and thoughtful question. First, I think you should probably have a resolution declaring the council's intent. And then make sure that this is published in our normal, on the website, also in our normal process of agenda. So people who have an issue or wish to come to council and discuss it can do so before the next council meeting. And at that point, you would vote on it. And then that would authorize their public services to add these additional services to the menu of that they provide. But I think that the next step would be a resolution with an opportunity for public comment.
Great. Thank you for reminding me of the process.
Would, so if we switch over, does everyone get notified so that they can change their level of service before the first?
Yeah. so
Changeover?
The very next slide is the
Okay.
communication.
Yeah, I was,
Next slide.
and also the yard waste collection bin, if that's.
All right, so
For that.
this obviously is a dramatic increase in service. There's going to be a lot of questions that your residents are going to have. People are going to start paying attention to recycling more. What can I actually put in the cart? And then offering the whole yard waste service with food is going to be a big deal as well. So we have a communication plan that's basically locked and loaded and ready whenever you're able, or if you choose to move forward with this. It includes a flyer that we can give to the city to put in the city hall. We can have some in the library. We can do a call blast, letting people know about this, social media posts, because honestly, we can send stuff in the mail we found that people don't pay attention if we're the ones sending it in the mail. If the city's sending it or they're seeing it in their favorite Facebook groups, that's when people are really paying attention to it. If it's coming from us, they think it's junk mail and they don't even read it.
Well, and I know that we send out water bills, so we could put this, if you have like a single leaflet size.
Yeah, and we would definitely include this
Thing, I mean-
information on bill, like as the little message that you sometimes see on your invoice, on your bills. That would also be there. The other thing is I would be coming down to do a recycling and composting presentation for the community. There's gonna be a lot of people that they want their questions answered in person.
Yeah,
Sure.
so some sort of town hall situation or something like that.
It'd be a town hall presentation, telling people what they can and can't recycle, what does and does not go in the compost bin. And then actually it goes a little bit more in depth, kind of helps people understand why our recycling is the way it is. And then there's gonna be a lot of information, so I won't overload people, but there's a tiny little bit, just letting them know that recycling is changing in 16 months. Just so that their brains are prepped for that information when it starts coming out. And so, yeah, we've got all the communication stuff ready to go whenever it is, if the city council does decide to move forward.
All right.
Okay.
And if so, you did say that you would have a little flyer that we could include with the water bills. And then is there something that we could include on our website as
Yes,
well? that has all the
absolutely, yeah,
information? Okay.
absolutely.
I just want to
All
make
of
sure
it.
we're covered on all sides
Yeah.
with that.
I get emails from Republic with their stuff like that.
Then you don't have to worry about the calendar. Well, actually, we still have to worry about holidays on the calendar, but.
Yeah, well, they always send out a notification if there's a
Yeah.
schedule.
Well, there had been some people that were, a lot of confusion. There was two different calendars.
There's two
and
different calendars. I get
They were not showing the same days for
Yeah.
pickup on holidays.
Yeah, that unfortunately does happen sometimes. However, if you guys are using the app, just as a pro tip, if you use the app is always correct for your account.
Okay.
Any other questions? Counselor Linder, did you have any other questions?
No, I know originally when we knew that you were gonna come back, Ken, I was going to suggest, and not, I know this is not, I'm trying to be careful here, but like, I think in late 2024, when the updated calendar was emailed out to everybody, it had staggered dates that didn't align with the app. So I was gonna say it would be great if the next calendar would be updated to
Yeah,
be in sync, but if we're getting weekly pickup anyway, it's moot, and that's awesome. And this, I just want to reiterate, this is really, really great news that this is a possibility for us, and I appreciate this presentation very much.
glad to give you good information and apologies again for the mix up on the calendar.
Well, the weekly is gonna solve a lot of that problem anyway.
Yeah,
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thank you.
thank you, Ken.
All right, next up, it's the Long Tom Watershed Council. You have a presentation for us, I believe. Okay.
So I'm Dana Duggar from the Long-Term Watershed Council.
Jim Falls, long time motion.
Tell the status of the project by the graying of my hair. We're heading to 8 years or something, just talking about this since your 2016 letter to the Corps requesting that they look at the structure. So the good news, I think, is that as John Rigmus wrote the 1135 Grant Advisory Committee, it looks like Congress is moving towards a 2024 budget. As long as we have an annual budget or a continuing resolution, apparently, then we can move the funding forward for the project. Because the cost benefit analysis came out really good and the overall project cost was really low for a core project, like to us, like mind blowing sticker shock, but to them it's not. It looks likely like we'd be able to move ahead. So I think that is why Elliot Porter, the project manager, requested the letters from the city recommitting or reaffirming the intent and, knowledge that this could happen. So I kind of want to joke with the Corps and say, so do you recommit too? Like, we're not the ones to like, me and my patients for the federal government. So what we've been doing is securing the funds to cover the cost share that you guys would have, so that that's 100% covered. And then the city water intake. So Jed will give you the details of that. We have all of that covered with padding. Because the point is to have zero cost to the city. Yeah, and then I think the anticipated next steps were the other thing we're going to touch on. And then any questions you guys have. So I'll pass it to you for the grant part.
Yeah. So we've secured a couple grants that will cover some of the costs that we have mentioned. The big one for the 1135 project is the 25% cost share that the Army Corps requires. Secured that U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service National Fish Passage Program grant to cover that. 25% of the cost was about 620,000 or something like that. So that chunk of change is a line item in that grant budget. We have signed a grant agreement with that federal agency. So that's secure. I think that one would include some interpreter signs too for after the project. Some signs that talk about the history of the site, both over the last 150 years, and then previously to that, the Calapooian people that lived here for thousands of years, continue to live in the area. And then for the water intake, we got an Oregon Watershed Enhancement Board grant for that. That was about $800,000 total. And the cost estimate that we got from our engineer was, it took about $200,000 for engineering and about a little over $500,000 for the actual construction of the new intake. That would include new the variable frequency drive pumps that would collaborate with the new treatment plant that Steve and you guys have been working on. So those are the two that are secure. We have another pending grant to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, another federal agency. Agencies have a lot of infrastructure funding right now, so that was a big partnership grant with other watershed councils and other similar groups in the Upper Willamette Basin. That would include some additional funds to cover more of the cost share. I think the Corps did say that the price has already been increased 15%. Inflation has been pretty significant, so that would cover additional cost shares if needed. That would also have some funding for working with agricultural water users upstream of the dam to help update fish screens and plumbing and things like that. And then also that grant would have funds for O&M of the project during the first 3 years of that grant. So that would have a line item in that grant proposal to help with any unforeseen O&M that might happen with the dam project or the water intake. So, and then also some funds for repairing and restoration along the river banks. It's about a mile long pool backed up by the dam. So
yeah, and I think they said that they might have to do some around the bridge structure, the footings of the bridge structure, because
yeah,
the water's moving faster.
exactly, and that would be part of the Corps project. And they would build that part of it, and then we've had some conversations with ODOT.
On email.
Yeah, in writing.
In writing.
They would after the project was done, the Corps' scour protection work was installed. ODOT would then continue to be responsible for maintenance of that part of it, even after the project was done. So that was we didn't know what they were going to say
We
about
didn't know if
that.
they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they sign off on the Corps' work and then they take it from there and they add it back into their normal maintenance profile. Because for a while, it was just like, are you suggesting you would have a small town responsible for your bridge piers? And so we wanted let's just make sure that's in writing because that sounds really weird. And they're like, oh yeah, no. So
Yeah.
just making sure to have every T crossed and every I dotted.
That's the grants that are closely aligned with the 1135 project. We are working with the Confederate Tribes of Selection Indians on it's called a Planning Assistance to States project. It's another Army Corps, it's another Army Corps program. It would do a lot of cool research and monitoring upstream of Monroe, looking at sources of algae and dissolved organic carbon in the river, and look at temperature dynamics, and also do some western palm turtle and lamprey and freshwater mussel surveys. So not closely tied to the 1135 project, but of interest to you all, I think, in terms of water quality and things like that. That's the grant update.
Fantastic news.
Thank you.
That's all I was saying.
Keep going. At each stage, it seems to keep getting clearer, and we like what we're hearing. And thank you for getting layers upon layers of match. He is a very good technical grant writer. And then on the fundraising side, we're also doing another layer of protection to just hand you guys some cash for the operations and maintenance for the city water intake. And so as soon as we're at construction, or, we can figure out when we want to transfer that, we could prepay a chunk of it, and then at the end of the project, do the other chunk, whatever makes sense to everybody involved. But we want to make sure that the city is able to have control to do their own maintenance on the water intake and not have to call anyone, least of all us, so you would have money in the bank to prepay that. And I've been mentioning that for, I think, over a year, but we're halfway already on our fundraising goal on that. So
Thank you.
yeah. So we're just trying to, keep coming with questions. I think once you guys have an agreement with the Corps and, they want to have that little update that you are still feeling that way. And then once you have the official project partnership agreement with them and everything really is on a roll, we'll see all the fine language, and we'll, be right by your side with an MOU that matches like whatever you're committing to, we will be committing to you. Just kind of like how we did this first part. We have an MOU with you that matches kind of what you agreed to with the selects and with the Army Corps. So it's our intention to kind of do it the same way again, and list out all the monies and all the ways, and share the emails from ODOT, and we want ODOT to sign things, and like, can anyone think of anything wrong with this? Let's get it in writing. Let's see if there's any other next steps we did not mention yet. Yeah, I think it's just the letter of intent and the self-certification that Elliot sent to you, and then project partnership agreement. Oh, and if you sign those, apparently they can get their initial 100,000 to start working on the project partnership agreement draft and finishing the study. It's very interesting how they work. You reaffirm your commitment, they get money to do their work, then you guys would sign something saying, okay, let's do the next part.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for all your hard work on the grants and funding. Thank you so much.
Jed gets some serious gold stars.
Thank you, Jed.
Thank you to the Confederated Tribes of Select Indians for working with the Corps on the planning systems that stays in a separate authority to look at water quality and all the pieces upstream that add even more layers to this.
Definitely.
Do you have any other questions? Will we have them here?
I don't think so.
I have a personal one.
Okay.
So I have Shaker Creek through my property. There's fish in it. If you start lowering the dam, I don't think that it's gonna have fish and stuff in it anymore, because I don't think we're gonna have enough water. So for those properties that have that already for habitat for those animals that you're so concerned about that will now go away, what do you do with that? Anything, or we don't care, or we don't worry about that anymore, and we fill that thing in, or what are we gonna do?
Yeah, Shaver Creek, I didn't know you lived right there. We ran a fish trapping project at Airline Devon for like 3 years. 2007. And there's a ton of cutthroat in there, for sure.
Yeah, I accidentally found out. I was goofing off with my grandson, and I thought it'd be fun to have him, and we accidentally caught a fish. we were like, there's no
You're like,
fishing.
wait, what? Congratulations, is that
I
real?
know, well, it was awesome because my husband and son were looking at me like, you're an idiot. Why are you doing that? I said, just let him have some fun. And boy, did we.
A score.
Yeah, no, that's a really good thought, and that's something that the Corps has not talked about.
Right.
And you're totally right, it's backwater from the dam for the first few hundred yards at least, or
Oh, quite a
more
bit.
than that.
I mean,
all
yeah,
the way up
because,
to Caroline Dublin almost.
well, because it dries up.
Yeah.
So we're gonna we may completely lose that.
Yeah, I think.
And
yeah, yeah.
I heard one thing once ever about it way back when this was in the, where this might happen phase.
Uh-huh.
And then we were never contacted or talked to about it or anything now. So I have that. And then I know like my neighbors, they have big sloughs and stuff and they'll be losing all that too. So there are some areas that the fish and some of the wildlife are relying heavily on that are gonna be dried up now. So you're trading one thing for another in some respects. So you're all trying to do something about the fish and helping the fish, but they're gonna
Yeah.
die where I am.
Yeah,
So
these things are really complicated.
Yeah.
and, That's a really good point. We also sampled fish in Rattlesnake Creek, that comes out of Diamond Woods during that same study, and I think that dries up seasonally. And we got a ton of trout there too, so I think the surprising thing is that our native fish are adapted to seasonal water flows. A lot of research from OSU shows that they get up into farm fields in the winter, and really tiny little ditches basically that are seasonally dry. So I think that the native fish will be able to adapt to that changing situation. It'll change how it looks for you for sure. And it's a big deal. So I really, appreciate, that thought. I'll be bringing it up before because we were actually just looking at the report from that study that we did. We were tagging and trapping all those fish. And we got a ton of drought there,
Yeah.
so it was really interesting. Some of the tagged fish were actually detected at antenna stations like way up Ferguson Creek. So it seemed like it was an important like rest area for fish. So it's a really good point, and I think that in my opinion that the native fish will be able to adapt to that changing situation. It will look different for us. Definitely keep commenting on the Corps' plan. I think the next phase would be, much more in the weeds design process for everything. Because I have questions too about some of the details about, there's like the culvert replacement on the east bank of the river, on the downstream end of the city property. I have some questions about that, like how they're gonna do that and the potential, effects on the ponds over there, the sloughs over there. So luckily we're at the point where they just need to keep hearing ideas and they can make tweaks and do things like making sure that fish can, get up into Schaefer Creek. I don't know what the outlet's been submerged since there was a dam installed in the late 1800s. So they'll need to survey that and take a look at it and make sure that fish can get in there seasonally still at least. And
if they let it down there, it'll be dry. There's not gonna be
wintertime it
anything.
flows.
Yeah, but it'll be real. It won't be much if they let all that water out. So anyway,
Yeah,
just a sad thing
yeah.
to see it go.
Yeah, I get that for sure. I'm attached to a lot of creeks and waterways in my life too. Change is hard for sure. I think where our track was at Airlines Avenue, there was like, you could tell it was flowing downstream. It wasn't just backwater from the dam there. And in the wintertime, there was a decent amount of flow coming out, it seemed like to me from my memory. So I think there'd still be water coming down in the winter, at least pretty regularly, through fall through spring, basically.
Which is when the cutthroat moves the most.
Yeah.
What we don't want is them getting trapped. That's a really good point, because we do want to kind of scope and make sure we don't end up with fish trapped. So that would be good to collect all those pieces, because maybe we do a follow-on restoration piece, another restoration grant that just kind of almost like bats cleanup. It's like, okay, we now have a changed landscape. Now what would improvement look like?
Yeah,
You know, because we haven't been able to ask that question, because the dam is such a significant force. And I think OWEB would be very attractive. Once OWEB is committed to an area, they do like to know, oh, what was your prior grant and what did you do? And oh, now you would like, you know, phase 3 funding to do just this other piece that then makes the project kind of whole. So that's an attractive ask. So if you hear of other things like that, also please do tell us.
Yeah, it's complicated hydrology with all the sloughs and oxbows and yeah, the design process. is really important.
And who we pick for a contractor, who the Corps picks, but the sponsor is involved in that. So, I mean, I think making sure that the person and firm implementing that you like their restoration credentials. And I'm pretty sure you can have Judd like on the team to review them or something like that, kind of like how we had River Design Group sit in on the Corps internal meetings and was able to kind of point things out, like, you guys, I do restoration everywhere, this doesn't make sense, and the Corps like, oh, thank you. You know, so they are open, you know, it seems like a giant agency that only does their own thing, but actually the local people and the district people do have good conversations, so. Yeah. Don't worry.
Any other
Jed's not daunted.
Any other questions for Dana and Joe? No? All right, I think we're gonna cut you loose. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, Steve, you're up next, sir.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will start with, this is the beginning of SEI filing as your statement of economic interest. I'm just going to mention that we've had several instances around the state and some close to home of issues with OGEC. And that the website for OGEC has a nice guide called the Guide to Public Officials for Public Officials. And I highly recommend that you go to that website and just at least scan through it. I would highlight things such as conflict of interest. Make sure that you just kind of understand that. We, like I said, I'm not pointing anything out specifically for this council, but there have been some trips in the area that have made the papers. And so you might want to just make, and these were things that were actually discussed and approved at council. So, but ended up running afoul. So it's, the OGEC has had extra funding in this cycle and they are stepping up enforcement. This summer, they were going to have, I mentioned to you a few months ago that they were going to have trainings for public records. They pushed that to summertime. So, but that will be made available to you as well. Also, OGEC wants me to make sure I'm the jurisdictional contact for all of you. Wants me to make sure that you know that we can schedule trainings and that type of thing. They will actually personalize training for the city of Monroe if necessary. If you find that reading through these things seems complicated or daunting, by all means, make sure that you can ask me to take advantage of that. And I'll be happy to get it arranged for you. So with that, that was my, you know, what they say, the public service part of the discussion here.
PSA.
Yes. So after last week, actually last 2 weeks, I've been looking at hiring an individual to join our public works team. We had a second interview for a couple folks. And right around the same time, just before we began the second interviews, another person popped into the application process. So we included them in that interview as well. So we ended up interviewing 4 individuals total in this group. After doing background checks and doing all of the things, I have reached a hiring decision and offered the job to Mr. Luke Purdue, who is a water certified grade 1 current within the last 2 years, and also water distribution grade 1 within the last 2 years. Has worked at both Cottage Grove and at the city of Harrisburg, although he's not currently working there. But he has a wealth of experience that would be wonderful for, and I think a great, very good fit for the city of Monroe. We talked originally about where we might, we might hire for utility 1, but perhaps go utility 2. With his experience and background, his associates at Lynn Benton Community College in water wastewater, I've offered him the job at utility 2, step 1. Rather than try to go in the middle of the utility 1 range. It actually works out a little bit better overall for him to be at the utility 2 level. He fits every bit of our criteria. So he's accepted. His background check is complete. He does a drug screen this week. We do a pre-employment drug screens here up at Corvallis. So he'll be setting up there to do his thing. And he'll be starting March 11th. Yes, sir.
Amazing.
Will we be providing differential too for those additional certifications that, because I know we had been doing that previously with offered
Yes.
differential for having
So-
those certifications.
So the offer is contingent. Yes, that he will be. So I'll say that the letter that I gave him is similar to what I gave current public works individual. That they start off at a certain step, then after satisfactory performance review and attendance, they move to, after 6 months, which is our probationary period, they move to step 2. And then step 3, at the end of 1 year, again, with satisfactory performance and attendance. The second part of that is that for each certificate that I list, in this case, it would be grade 2 water, grade 1 waste, grade 1 collections, that's your sewer. So distribution is water, collections is waste. So for those additional certificates, we offer a 50 cents per hour differential. It's contingent upon keeping up with the CEU requirements the state of Oregon has. So it doesn't increase your salary, your wage, it adds to it. That can also, if you don't keep up with your CEUs, because then the state of Oregon says you cannot have your certification, then that 50 cents for that certification goes away until they reinstate themselves. So that's what was offered to them.
Okay.
Sounds like it's good news.
All right.
I'm glad we- Well, and also if we get going on the water system project, that it sounds like they would already be certified to
They're
run it at a
already
grade 1 if we
well
were able to.
to do that. However, having said that, I've also, the state of Oregon, and I'll get into our water plant upgrades here in a minute. But in review with OHA last week, they gave me the new certification and guidelines for water plants. It's based upon a matrix. The matrix assigns points for all the different things you have. We're still grade 2.
Even going to a conventional
Going
system.
to a conventional, and the reason why is because of the amount of conditioning we have to do to pull water from the Long Tom River.
Okay.
It's just the more technical, it's just more technical for the city to have to maintain. But I'll get into a little bit more of that because there's some other perhaps more exciting news in the next segment here.
Okay.
Oregon paid leave. Some of you may be aware of that, or it just kind of snuck onto the agenda here with the state of Oregon. We passed that. We've been collecting money from employees now. We have to pass that on. Think of it as an insurance program for some very specific kinds of events, life-changing events, such as the birth of a child. And you get time off paid by the state of Oregon to do these life-changing events. It's not for everything. It's not like family medical leave. It piggybacks on it, but it's not. Because of our small size, we employees do not qualify for Oregon Family Medical Leave or with the federal Family Medical Leave, FEMLA, OFOMA, as we call it. However, everyone qualifies for the paid leave, Oregon paid leave. If you have certain qualifying events, it's not for everything, it's for major medical, life-changing events such as the birth of a child. I mention that because Mr. Purdue is expecting, or his wife is expecting in May, so he will be taking advantage. He will have less than 90 days, which is one of the criteria, but if he qualifies, and he has to, the way it works is you have to actually apply for it. And if the state says yes, then we are required to grant him that time off. He's requested 2 weeks. Seems very reasonable. So anyway, I wanted to put, one of those things, it's like, well, who will use that? But here's the situation right off the bat where we get to experiment using it. But it's the employee who needs to go to the state of Oregon to have it approved. Then the employee comes to the employer and says, this is what I need to do. So that's kind of the steps. Internally, we are working in administration at the moment. We're dealing with lots of folks calling in wondering why they're getting late fees. So Dawn has been quite busy today in particular. We basically have a very good process in place and it is working. We have not had to turn water off, even though last month we had 40 notices go out. This month we had 48 notices go out. These are what we call our 10-day letters. We kindly ask you to pay your water bill within 10 days. But we have yet to have turned anyone off. Everyone has come forward and paid their water bill. So,
Steve, I've got a question about that.
yes.
What is the reason for the increase? I mean, I don't, sorry, for the increase in the late payments. Do you know why?
I cannot say for certain why that is. Other than I think some folks have felt that, I'll just kind of paraphrase one individual who called in today. They felt that 3 years ago, back when we first started, as you recall, city staff left, leaving me in the office, and then to be joined by Emma, who she and I ran the city for a few weeks until we had staff. During that period of time, we were not able to get bills out. So what we told folks is, make your payments, we'll get it recorded, we'll make sure you get receipts, but we will not have any late payments. And that was approved by council, that we were going to work it through and not do that. So after about 6 months, we had new staff and we had billings going on a regular basis. And so that portion discontinued. And some folks have never had a problem with it up until quite recently. So I'm not sure if the reason, and they remember that. They remember that they didn't have late payments. So that was one reason that was given to me. That was today. Other folks, I think, just simply have make decisions on how they wish to use their money. And it's at this particular point in time, perhaps it's because of employment, perhaps it's because people are having to make decisions about food and other things.
Okay.
So, and some folks have forgotten. And we have 2 of those today as well, that they just simply forgot that they had to get a bill out. Another person said that I gave it to my friend, and that friend came in today saying, oh, I'm so sorry. But they did date the check on the 23rd, so we'll honor that one. We try very hard to work with folks if they can work with us. So,
I wasn't sure if maybe you're just seeing a trend like this time of year after the holidays or something. Maybe it's kind of a financially difficult time for people coming out of a shopping gifting season. I just wasn't sure if like January, February is when you tend to see more late payments, but maybe that's not really the case. It doesn't sound like.
I did ask Dawn the question, and so we did go back and look at research for last year. I did go back more than last year. And last year, this time, we did not have an increase. This year we do. Now,
Interesting.
I will also say that in the last 2 years, because of COVID, we were not going, we did not have a very strict policy on it
Yeah.
because we couldn't. The state of Oregon was telling us utilities cannot shut water off. We needed to work with people. Council directed staff to try to work with folks as best as we can, and let's get through this.
Yeah.
So COVID ended, and we have been slowly ramping up the same provisions that our ordinance calls for.
Right.
So at this point, we are fully up to speed on what the city's ordinances require, which includes a late fee and interest on the unpaid balance. So
Yeah.
we're abiding by the ordinance now, and that's probably maybe the first time since 2019, maybe, that
Yeah.
we have been fully on board with processing our payments on time, and the system will automatically generate the fees
Got it.
in receipt in it. It just does. But we're following our ordinances.
that
Got it.
about-
Thank you.
20% of our clients?
40, yeah, let's see. So we have 333
Oh,
connections.
333. Okay.
So, but what about 1/6?
15.
Yeah.
Or a little bit over 15.
Now, as I said, last month we had 40, but all 40 individuals paid. We did not
Okay.
have to go to the last step of, but it does take staff time. I mean, Dawn is very busy. She does follow up. Mark follows up. But if we have to get to the point of actually putting in a disconnect notice, the requirement is that we need to make contact with somebody. And then only then, and after discussion with me, will I sign off on disconnect. So we have 3 layers of fail safe. We do not wish to turn anyone's water off. I think that upsets us as much as anything else, and as anyone. We also have extra steps to take if it's a landlord, because we have to notify each person, and they get a copy of the same letter we sent to the landlord with the dollar amount redacted. And that's Oregon statute. So. Is there any other questions on our billing process? It's just a sigh. I know today was a hard day for city staff to work through that. We had a lot of calls. So I've been in contact with FEMA. I had a Zoom conference with them this last week. They wanted to have a narrative of the impact of the ice storm on the city of Monroe. This is being put forth to Congress and the President of the United States as a federal disaster area. So they also want to know what dollar costs we incurred, other issues and problems. So essentially, I broke out about $10,195 in expenses. This was overtime for Mark, extra costs for heating the Monroe Community Center, tree debris removal, time to remove debris, and also for the park bleachers that got smashed by a tree limb. So they will reimburse, if this is approved, the president apparently signs off on this and sends us a check. So I just want to let you know that FEMA did indeed talk to us about this. And so we have our dollar amounts certified and put in place for any potential reimbursement. We talked last time, oh, sorry, Counselor.
How big is the federal disaster area?
I think it's, in this particular case, it's 5 counties in the kind of from Marion County down to Lane.
Okay.
I think that's my understanding of that. So you have Marion, Benton, Lynn, Lane, and
Lincoln, maybe?
I think Lincoln as well. Yes.
Okay.
So,
That's another question after the.
yeah, it's, okay. Last on this particular topic, we had discussed last time that I felt that there was some unusual water usage and we thought maybe irrigation. No, it was a white pipe break in the Dundee Monroe Land Company's front building, the one that the Shays were thinking of putting their cellars. They are no longer doing that, but it destroyed the entire interior, but that's where the water came from.
Okay.
That's
As soon as we fixed it, it was stopped.
Hmm.
So the water tank logs did not lie. There was a leak somewhere and there it was. They found it, staff found it on their meter reads last month, which was right after. So in the water plant area, I got a call from OHA last week. And they were talking to me about a SUD-C grant. So all of you want to know what a SUD-C is? That a small, underserved, and disadvantaged communities grant program. Apparently, we qualify. Matter of fact, we uniquely qualify in many ways. So they went to our circuit writer, which is also Civil West, that is working with us, and they will be writing a letter of intent, which needs to go out March 15th. And they feel very strongly that we can get this, and what that would do would be to basically add on to the $1.5 million that we received in lottery money, and this would make up the difference. It is a no cost share grant. So this would fully 100% pay for our water system improvements without the city having to pay anything for it. So that was a very nice phone call.
Yes.
I am in the process now of.
They're throwing money at you to fix this.
Can
Can you just take care of it? We want,
Well,
here's some
let's-
money, do it.
Let's
Start working.
I'll add that. Casey Lyons is the OHA person, but when he gave me this information and good news, he also CC'd our regulator as well. So I think, Councilor Rich, I think you're probably correct in your paraphrase. I am also going out for the, now we have the final bid coming in, request for the tank mixer. So I have 3 now. And I'll be choosing one and we'll be going with it. That this should be paid for with our SDC funds because it's due to the fact that we
Keep the tank fuller.
need to keep the tank full and reduce THMs, the trihalomethanes that we get dinged for, better fire safety. And this is all because our town has grown and we're at that point where we cannot just keep a low water level in the tank any longer, as we discussed. The Kelly Street, I'll combine this a little bit here, but the Kelly Street apartments were approved by the Planning Commission as conditional use. That was basically, they want to put the same, a 4-unit apartment on an undeveloped lot. They're combining it with the owner's existing lot. They own the 3 unit right there at 660 Kelly. The parking lots will be combined. There'll be combined storm drainage. The city will be installing, using SDC funds, a storm drain going from 7th all the way down to 6th. There is no current storm drain with that. We will be requiring residents to tap and make sure that they divert their storm drain into the city storm drain. Right now, we know for a fact one of them is going into the city sewer.
North or south of Kelly?
This will be going, this is where the storm drain will be.
Yeah.
It'll be on the south side of Kelly.
Okay.
Right. Along that particular point. They will be improving the street, half of that street. They have encouraged, and the planning commission has encouraged the city to make sure that we have an engineering grade for the entire street and redo the Kelly Street. Bring it up to basically specs. That would, not a bad idea. That establishes grade for all of our streets in the center part of town. Had a lot of inquiries now. I mean, not just a lot, many inquiries now for developers for the Kathy Loving property. This is between Mill Street and First Street. This is being combined with the Stone properties, which we're looking at the UGB land swap and the Brickyard. How, and this is not a word from Surge and Pacific National Development, but those properties have a lot of folks that are now calling me and asking me about how development might work. What are we doing in terms of our infrastructure and all that? These folks seem, so the Loving property is slated for residences. However, the first portion of it, the first high area next to Highway 99 is, I have insisted that state commercial.
A&W, right?
With, yeah, absolutely. A gas station with A&W. That's, I keep repeating that. They think about it for a moment, they nod their head thinking that's probably not a bad idea. So we're going with that. Along the same line, Benton County has hired a new planner. Benton County has extended to the city planning services. And particularly right now, I'll be meeting with the new planner, who I know from a former life at the Council of Governments, that we will be working on the UGB, which they have reiterated, the planning director has reiterated their strong support for a land swap of that nature. He mentioned, and I've tried following it, but I do not know that there is a measure, or there has been in the state senate and or legislature anyway, about allowing cities to do a 15-acre expansion without any other land use. However, I also understand that has had strong opposition from Thousand Friends of Oregon and others who feel that any city expanding should be under close scrutiny. So I don't know where it is, but that was one option. Otherwise, land swaps are still an option open to us. It won't be this next week, but the week after, I am to call the director of planning and start this conversation. With that, Depot Street has been, there's an easement now signed between Brian Oakes, who now wishes to develop his property. That is between our path and 7th Street. And
He doesn't own anything there.
he doesn't, but it's that area in between,
Where?
the area, that vacant lot that's by your house.
My driveway is my property. There's no vacant lot. I own it.
Wow, here it is.
There is nothing he owns through there.
Well, let's take a look here.
Matter of fact, the water meter box is on my property. So Brian Oates can't really sign anything for it.
Isn't it? It's right in front of the truck. Need to have a map.
I'll make sure to share this for you.
Yes, I will. So
Yeah. So that the Zoomers can see what's going on. Yep, you'll see it.
All right, so we're on the tax block map for the city of Monroe.
Mhm.
Thank you, guys.
I'm not trying to stop Brian, I'm just saying,
No, guys. This has to go to,
go up north from where you're at.
yeah, I have to wait for the second report to fill in.
Yeah, see those two little plots? I own those. Those 0.06 acres?
Yeah.
I own both of those.
But that doesn't mean he can't have access to.
No, he can go through there, but
Right,
where the gravel is, that's,
so let's hang on a second here.
That's what I'm saying.
That I have. Let's get a layer in here.
yeah.
Okay. So what has happened is that, yes, this is your property here.
Yeah,
And so this portion right here, Depot Street, there is an easement now through this from
right,
here
that was
to
the
here.
other
and
people.
for access to this property. Now, what we have to do in this process is we have to develop a crossing right here. Okay, so that's the city has to work with And that's also part of the rail easement as well.
Mhm.
So that also had that, so that has to be an agreement. There is no certain agreement at the moment for use of that, but there'll have to be a crossing.
Well, the city actually owns corrupt, see where that next line, that's the city's,
Yeah,
That's
this
Sixth
is the
Street.
city, this is Sixth Street here.
Sixth Street, yeah.
So this is the easement that we required. Now, the other part of that would be putting something through here,
Mhm.
completely clearing that out.
Yeah.
And doing something, but what the easement that I'm talking about is between here and here, between Highway 99 and the rail bed.
So Fifth Street and Sixth Street, not Sixth Street and Seventh.
Well, what I'm saying is, no, the property that I was referring to for the folks, now that we have a map, it's easier, is between, well, Highway and Seventh Street. And that's what I'm referring to.
Right.
I wasn't referring to your property or anyone else's.
No, I thought you said an easement from Sixth Street through Seventh. And that would-
No, I was talking about, the property. We're trying to give a vision, a verbal description of where the property is. But the easement is through Mr.
Yeah,
Dundee Monroe's.
Dundee Monroe.
Right, has granted the easement. Yes, the city sold you this property some.
City never sold me that.
Or vacated. Did they
Nope,
vacate it?
nope, I bought all of those. Those were never owned by the city, ever, ever, ever at all, period.
All right.
The first little property was under a probate, and I had to wait to buy that, even though I bought the other property. And then the farthest south property was owned by Wilbur Ellis, and they sold that to me.
All right, well, those are your property and Mr.
Yeah, I'm willing to work with them, but nobody's come talk to me at all.
Well, I don't think that, I think everything is actually between here and here is what he's trying to propose.
Yeah.
There is a city easement here,
Mhm.
and then we have the rail bed here, which is part of the path project. And the access, we required that he would have to have some easement between Highway 99 and this point prior to him applying. Since he's going to apply, the city has to decide how he wishes to subdivide this. Okay, so it's more than just a minor partition.
Yeah,
And it's not more than a major partition, it's a development area, PUD. And then we have to assign how we're going to assess going through our easement here,
like a cul-de-sac maybe?
and what to do here. Now, it'll be probably more like taking this and making it a flag block properties. It's more than likely how it will need to be developed.
Oh, so you wouldn't pull that all the way down to Pine? I mean, Kelly?
No, I would not. That there's no real way of getting here to here without causing a lot of other issues.
Well, and also that's where the walking path supposed to go, right?
Well, this is the walking path. And so we'd have to
And so
use
you
that
wouldn't want,
walking path.
you wouldn't want vehicles traversing that.
Traversing it.
They already are. Well, once it's in place, there'll be bollards or something put in.
We don't have any bollards or anything right now. We don't.
There's a couple down. No, but I mean, when we develop that path, we'll probably need to put bollards in to make sure that people aren't driving vehicles on there. Yeah.
Yeah, we're required to as part of the grant. I would point out while we're here, you will notice that this lot back here
That's city.
owns the city and it owns it right up. And it's no kidding. We had it surveyed and that's where the survey marker is right there.
Mhm.
That entire backyard is owned by the city.
And there's a drainage in there too.
Yeah, the drainage is right here, and this is what we have a sewer pipe that comes in here from right there.
Do they know? Probably not. That their
All the
backyard
way through
is
here. all the
not
way
their
to here.
backyard.
That's an issue. We'll have to, because they have fenced it and owned it for such time.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I
it becomes
don't
a,
know how much that, now the city can always do eminent domain. There's nothing that restricts.
I don't think they can't claim adverse possession on city property.
They
Otherwise,
cannot, because we can always be, the reason why is because we can do it, because we can turn around and do eminent
Eminent domain,
domain.
yeah.
Right, so that typically doesn't work well in that matter, but the council will be tasked with probably a delicate discussion at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, so that's what we're referring to, is this is the Brian Oaks property. From this point to here, that's a city easement right here, that's Sixth Street. More than likely, that would be used as a flag lot type of a driveway for access. But it's up to Mr. Oaks to decide how he wants to bring it forth to us. You folks in council, however, because of how our land use code is designed, you will be making the decision for this, for the actual partitions.
Is that 0.7 acres?
Yeah. 0.71 acres, correct.
The fire department's gonna sign off on the flag lot?
I don't know. Yeah, the person that, the person who wishes to do it will meet with us. At that point in the pre-application meeting, we typically bring the fire chief in and any engineers and anyone else. They will place their objections or comments or notes. And then it's up to the applicant to work with that information and present the planning commission and council with how they wish to proceed. So
5 homes?
he says 5 homes. I don't think it supports 5 homes.
No, our minimum lot size is 5,500 feet.
Well, is that in,
Well, that's what our minimum is.
is that the
with-
low density or high density?
In this particular instance, if he wants to put in more than a couple homes, we're talking, he'll probably need variances,
Variances.
conditional use, and all of our other things get thrown out the window. So that what happens is you have to approve what he wants.
Right.
And then the planning commission has to also grant the other conditions to make it work. So he has a lot of hoops to jump through in order to do what he thinks he wants. It's not saying it, but that's just how the planning process works.
Yeah.
There's lots of discussion, but we will meet with him during the pre-application process with the fire chief, city engineers, other folks that might be needed to be at the table to make sure he has all the right information before he goes out and starts getting everything drafted.
There's quite a bit of elevation gain between the railroad bed and that property too.
Yes,
So
there
if
is.
we had to make a flag lot street level, we'd have to take out probably 3 to 4 feet of elevation.
He has some work cut out for himself. So the next step is a pre-application.
Okay.
What else you got for us, Steve?
So that didn't give up.
I think I have, with the UGB, we're also, the county director is also willing to talk with us about including our lagoons, which are currently not inside the city limits or inside the UGB. And also the Bell Chamber property. We just redrafting it since it is all city property to include the city. He says that is different from expansion for other purposes. So we'll see. That again will be in the conversation.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. How did our lagoons get built outside of the city?
I do not know.
Including the Bell Chambers property.
Yeah, I don't know. I do not know how that's very weird. The Bell Chambers property, as I mentioned, is EFU, exclusive farm use. Those are state statutes that deal with what they call resource properties and are basically in the state of Oregon about as close to sacrosanct as you're ever going to get in terms of any use other than resource based. So even though there's a home on it, the fact that it's disconnected, it makes it very problematic to sell or do anything else other than to a farmer. Who might use it for an adjoining farm. So again, working with the county director to see what we can do that's within the scope and province of Oregon statute.
All those issues get brought up years ago. They were out, so.
Yeah. Well, that's probably why, looking at the minutes and other things, why they attempted probably to put a well in there. You could do that in EFU. But you can't really do you can't even have a haunted house there. That was not appropriate use of the property. We have approached the fire department about maybe using it for training as a controlled burn. That's a possibility. But again, there's lots of things that have to jump through a lot of hoops.
Yeah. Can't burn like you used to.
And last, I liked reporting on ordinance enforcement activity. We have not had any luck serving our individual up in the top of Commercial Street. Our attorney says, well, there is an alternative. You can mail it. You also post the notice around town. So that's our next step.
Okay.
And I getting lots of calls on loose chickens.
Yeah. They're not mine, in my yard the other day. I used to have some, not anymore. I just threw it out on my driveway. Got it on.
So that is our report, sir.
All right, thank you.
Lots
very much.
going on.
Maybe they're wild chickens.
No, they're barred hens. Very cute, but they like getting loose. I don't know how the chickens get loose, but
They
find a way to
they
get
can
loose.
fly. I mean, not far, but they can get over a fence or get over it. Yeah.
I know, I raised them for a while. I always wondered, how did they ever get out?
They get out because the bobcat lays on the chicken run.
Yeah, if they get
Crashes
spooked.
it, and then the next day you go, why are my chickens out? And you go and you find a big hole in the chicken.
You used to have a cougar coming down this
But yeah, anytime they get spooked too, they'll just like
Mhm.
fly,
Yeah,
jump and fly off
You need to
over a
clip
fence
their
or whatever.
feathers, but apparently that's a lost art.
Sorry, editorial comment.
That's okay. No, chickens are.
Comparing my children to chickens. Anyway, shall we move on to the consent agenda? I'm going to use the rest of the you guys to discuss.
I don't know, I thought you said it's 6 grade. True, so that's okay. No, it's good. An opportunity to review the map.
I know they own just like a little corner of the gravel on the east end, but the west end, I own all of it. It's kind of, I'll let you know. It's all in it. Five houses will be crowded.
So Steve, on this, it looks like we have a lot of attorney stuff. So we've got the law office of Larry J. Blake, which is our judge, correct?
Yes,
And that's the one we normally do. And then local government law group, is that our regular city attorney?
yes,
Okay, and then the Grove Mueller Swank is for the
Audit.
audit.
yes.
And then what's Emerald City Legal Support? Is that just something else? we-
Oh, no, that's the process server,
Oh,
right?
That's the process server.
For that was unsuccessful.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I had all those. That's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure that I had them all in the right
Yes.
areas. Okay.
So yeah, $65
Yeah,
for the
that's what
Emerald.
it typically is, yeah.
And we did 4 more sewer manhole.
Yes, we did. We did 4. Those were the 4 that were out in the swamp, just to the east of Red Hills. There were some ruts involved with that. Because it's a bad time of the year. I reported that we will fix them when we don't create more ruts, trying to fix the ruts that are there.
We had talked about this before, I think, because you said you were putting on hold this check to this $10,000 to Springbrook.
Okay, so.
Did you ever figure that out?
Yes, that is it. So what occurred is that we sent a check to Springbrook back at the end of the last fiscal cycle. Okay, so it was actually dated July 31st. So it was in the last fiscal cycle for that. We originally didn't, they send their billings out in November. They were sending it to Jonah at the ci.monroe.or.us. It never went through to anybody. And Springbrook never followed up until July, until essentially June of last year. So we put it in our July, however, they did not, we checked and they never received their check. So we stopped payment on it, which is what you see. Now we reissued the check again. And that is basically our annual support that they sent a bill out for us a year ago. So that's what you're looking at.
Okay, so
It's
this is a new
basically
check
catching- Yes, new check, catching it.
for the same thing that you tried to pay before.
Sure that we know that they got it this time.
Well, I have Dawn now, and I said, at any time we have a check that is more than $1,000 going out, I would like you to verify either our accounts, if you don't see it, you are to call and verify.
Any other comments or questions for Steve regarding the bills, financial?
I make a motion that
Go ahead. I was gonna say that I did not have Sheriff Van Arsdale here last week, but if he was, I would have got his spelling. correct.
Gotcha.
I'll make a motion that we pass the consent agenda. Minutes and pay the bills and all that fun stuff.
Any other comments or questions?
We'll bring you on for two meeting to present that Mr. Schultz.
I'm sorry?
Although bringing that to do on Public Works, will we still be contracting with Chuck Schultz afterwards?
Yes, Chuck Schultz at the moment is our DRC. Okay, however, I've been asked by Mr. Schultz to complete my tests and go through that process. So I will be doing that.
And then how far off from grade 2 is, I know you said he is already grade 1 certified. How many years does it take?
About a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
He's 3 years total.
Okay, so he's not too
He
far
has
off
about a
from.
year and a half total
halfway
into
through.
it with his prior experience. So he's a year and a half before he gets,
So maybe by the time we have a new water plant, he'll be getting close to being able to.
yeah, he is.
Okay.
Okay, right. Any other comments or questions before we vote? No. Counselor Lindner,
Nope, no questions or comments.
well, I'm ready for you to vote.
Oh, yes, I vote yes.
All right, Counselor Myers,
Yes.
Counselor Rich.
Yes.
Counselor Cuthbertson,
Yes.
Counselor Williams.
Yes.
Counselor- Great, thank you. All right, we are moving on to new business, 5.1 resolution 2024-02. A resolution adopting a consolidated master city fee schedule.
All right, so we don't have one. Okay, so we have also the numbering here is a little off. We actually had last month ordinance 2024-01. And it should be here this month for a second reading. Okay, so that's, I think, where the resolution numbering got off a little bit. Okay. So working this month diligently on master fee schedules and also conferring in a conversation with our attorney, we need to do a couple things. First is we already have some of our fees established by resolution, water system for one,
Mhm.
and planning fees, which go back to like 2019 or 2016 for the other. Everything else is kind of embedded in our ordinances. And what we need to do is each of those ordinances need to be amended. And so I can do so with, I think, a master amendment, and that's with our attorney right now for clarification. In other words, one ordinance that would basically
Modify
move
multiple.
the fees out of our existing schedule and then make them so that it's amended so that they are all passed by resolution. That apparently is what makes things, I was hoping for a simpler solution, but there is no simple solution in this case. We have to go through and pull those out and reestablish them by ordinance saying you're no longer, the fee itself is no longer in the ordinance, our current set of code. It's now set by resolution by council using this format. Other cities, like for instance Harrisburg, still reference things by ordinance and then establish the fee. So they have a master fee schedule, but it's really more like a consolidated. They take the ordinances and the resolutions and combine them into one document. versus having what I believe our intent was, is to have everything, all of our fees established by resolution. And in the ordinances themselves, in the code, we would reference the fact that council will set these by resolution review annually, which we have in some but not all. So I'm working through those painstakingly bit by bit. So that's where we're at.
Well, is that a better way to go about it? Is just you kind of combine it on a document so that it's easier for somebody to go through and read, but it's not necessarily the letter of the law.
It's
Right.
what we would, yes, and so one way of doing it would be just simply to take every bit in there, but if you're going through the code anyway, just, well, my question is, can I, to the attorney, and she says yes, but she wanted to think about it for a moment, was to go ahead and have just one ordinance that would basically amend the various sections. So you would say, we hereby ordain that section 31.02, whatever for this is now, it will be established by resolution. Ordinance 51.03. So it'd just be one sheet basically with these,
That amends all.
that amends everything all at once.
Okay.
And she believes that's the best way of doing it. Then, when you have your master fee schedule, is all set by resolution. Rather than, so that's what I've been working on. I'm sorry, it's a very tedious, more tedious than I anticipated.
All right, so the next item on the agenda should be resolution 2024-02, correct?
That will be O2, and that you have in your packet.
Right, and that's a resolution for dam removal letter of intent with the Army Corps of Engineers.
So this is the, and also, this will also take care of the authorization as well, including the authorization to sign in the text of resolution 2024-02. The draft letter is attached, and as well as the self-certification of financial capability, which they would like the finance officer of the city to sign. But I figured in this case, it would be good to put it all together for you to approve in one motion. So the text of the letter is essentially what
Long-term watershed council. and
State
Army
Corps
Corps.
of Engineers want.
Oh, okay.
But that's what they were referring to.
Yeah, that's what they were talking about, is that they were reaffirming that they still have the funding in place that had been discussed in the original.
Right, I had asked them to come here to make sure that if you had any questions regarding the funding, that you had a chance to listen, hear it before we got to this stuff.
I'm just reading over the letter. I don't know if anybody else is doing that or not.
Looks good.
So you just need a resolution to.
Yes, the resolution then
Is that Steve can
is
sign
kind of
this?
it's our history of this whole process up to this point. But it basically affirms your desire to continue with the project. The letter also says the same thing, affirming the city's desire. The second paragraph affirms that we are not, as has been discussed, we're not, haven't committed to this yet. We're waiting to make sure that all the funding and everything's in place, and that you will have a separate, when the partnership agreement comes before you, that's when you commit.
Okay. I'll make a
I'd like
motion.
to
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to submit that letter as written to the Army Corps of Engineers.
So you'll be, at this point, passing a resolution.
Oh, sorry.
Resolution 2024-02. I'll second it.
Okay. Any other comments or questions before we vote on this?
I'm just gonna question that what we were voting on is the resolution 2024-02. The letter from the Army Corps of Engineer and the non-federal sponsored self-certificate, right?
Correct, the resolution authorizes the letter and the signing of the.
Yeah, basically the last, now therefore, has the whole thing that says, we're saying that
I appreciate the clarification. That's good.
CA Martinico can sign it and send it to him.
Okay.
Do I need to revise my recommendation or is,
You probably should restate your
okay,
motion.
okay. I would like to make a motion to pass the resolution 2024-02. Oh gosh, the authorization of the letter affirming the U.S. Army Corps, as well as the second part, the non-federal sponsors self-certification of financial capability for decision documents.
Very good. Do you want a second again? You want a
Yeah.
second again? All right,
Second that.
perfect. Okay, we're gonna vote. Counselor Lindner,
Yes.
Counselor Myers,
Yes.
Counselor Rich.
Yes.
Counselor Cuthbertson, Counselor Williams, and Counselor Winfrey. Okay, thank you very much. Sure, we'll take one, sure.
Well, I found it quite interesting when you mentioned this fact. Another tributaries up the line, but the response was, that's all right, they'll adapt. But also the fluid right across the street, they're gonna dry it too. Well,
What's the question? Sorry, I'm not hearing anything.
turtles and other things that live there too.
It's a comment, Counselor Lindner. It goes back to Counselor Cuthbertson's question about Schaefer Creek.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all.
Okay, thank you. All right, looks like we went ahead and took care of 5.3. So we're gonna go ahead and go to 5.4, which is application for storage for parking ordinance.
I don't have an application. I just wanted to run by the thoughts that I had on this. In writing an application, essentially what you're doing is, if people wish to apply, the question is, what are the criteria for doing that? I think one criteria is ensuring that the fire department can have access to the house in case of that. So I think that, in other words, if you block your entire property frontage, can the fire department have access to it? I think that's a criteria. Just throwing this out, and please, by all means, this is for your comment and discussion. The second part of it is that it should be in front of your property and not someone else's property. And third, maybe where I kind of put my shoulders up a little bit because I don't know, is that it seems that there are street sizes that are more amenable to doing this than there are than other places. For instance, if you have a commercial street or main street, which are 60-foot width, and do not have really, they just have gravel easements, that they are not fully developed, but they are 60-foot wide strips. That is more amenable to storage of a mobile, RV than say Red Hills would be for this, a developed street with sidewalks on both sides and that type of thing. Or the smaller streets we have on 11th Street, 10th Street, up in there, that area, which are very narrow. We do not have the same size streets. So some of our connectors between, say, main and commercial are of smaller size than others. But so I'm looking at street width as part of the criteria. And at this point, that's really what I have. The street width, fire access, whether it's really developed or undeveloped, easements, and in front of your own property. So those are the kind of the four things. So I'm gonna, any discussion, any comment is very helpful at this point.
Counselor Cuthbertson.
Well, and I don't even know how you would do it, because it's gonna be kind of case by case, but if they're gonna be parked up too close to a corner and you can't see visibility wise for
Vision.
traffic.
Yeah.
Right, it would be the same.
I mean, mostly
thing.
safety.
That would be the other criteria. It's the
Just
same
like-
criteria we have for fences.
Right.
You have to have a visionary.
Right.
Yep.
So that was just the only
Yeah,
other thing that I
vision,
could.
Yeah, visionary.
Yeah.
And these are just initial qualifiers. How does it get decided if they're still?
This would be primarily an administrative decision
Okay.
with the ability to appeal it to council
Okay.
on exception.
Do we have any applications?
No, I haven't even put one out. This is, I'm wanted to come forward to the council first with my general concept of it, and then you guys can shoot it down, with a.
Because the ordinance gives an opportunity
Natural
for
or
somebody
whatever,
to
like
do.
Councilor Cuthbertson added an important piece, but yes, we have vision areas for each of our corners. And we see that in some of our fences, which have to be made at an angle, so it's not like straight out to the corner. So you can't park right to the corner. I would also say that there's some things like you cannot park within 20 feet of an intersection. Okay, that's our parking ordinances. So there's certain things that you would, that's state law, so that we've adopted. So there's certain things that you would not be able to do when we would delineate. But the vision is clearly one, parking only in front of your property would be two. Fire access, and I would need Chief Barnes' expertise for that.
Yes.
To decide that. And then it would be case by case with an opportunity to appeal to council. Do that. And I'm also thinking this is a permit and should have a fee associated with it.
Agreed.
Do you have a fee?
No, I do not. I will. So what I will do at this point is if all those elements seem.
Yes.
I can then spend some time putting this application together along with a proposed fee and bring it back to you for your edification and approval.
I would presume the permit and the fee would have a lifetime,
Yes,
like 6 months
or a year or
or
something, yeah.
To be renewed every year. or something
I
like
would
that.
say probably renewed it maybe 6 months or a year.
Okay.
Are there any situations where we have city property that's limited asset parking? I can't think of any myself, but.
City property,
someone
so
in front of their own property.
Sixth Street undeveloped, there's lots of area there.
we do have some easements, and this is a question. We have First Street, for instance, between 8th and 9th. That is a field, essentially. Part of the issue, excuse me, with that is I'm also concerned about vehicles leaking fluids and that type of thing,
Oh, yeah.
which we're required to
Environmental
deal
issues.
with the TMDL specifically, so.
Well, and if they park there and something happens to it, the city doesn't want liability for that.
No,
We
we
don't
need to keep our
doing
fields
that.
mowed and around it, so that's also
Yeah,
another.
I would think our permit situation might have to hold ourselves harmless on that.
Yes, so this is a,
They would have to have, they'd assume all liability.
right for that, but in this case, if we have it parked in front of their thing and it's stored, then you're right, but it has to be a hold harmless.
Yeah.
There's some other legal boilerplate that goes with it.
Right. Yeah, I would think we'd want to do that before we let anything.
Right. So at this point, I will take those are my ideas. You seem to be on board with it, at least consensus to let me.
Run wild.
With it, see, and
Draw
next
something
will
up.
be- You will see it and you can, I'll present it at the work session.
I think it's a great idea. The only thing I can foresee someone complaining about is a storage facility complaining that we're taking their business, but if they're not using them anyway. I'm pretty sure we got it covered. There is no RV storage around here.
Junction City.
Yeah, but there's nothing
Corvallis,
local
no,
to us.
no,
Yeah, so,
no.
yeah.
And it really does depend on the size and where you do it. And our developed streets are not amenable to, I would say Red Hills in particular, are not
Yes.
really amenable to
Completely agree.
having off-street parking for residents and their guests. And also having additional storage. That's fairly clear. Other areas in town seem more amenable to that. But then I also don't want a fire issue. I don't want the fire department having to
Right.
move cars out of the way with their rig.
That's
Because
what they
we've
got-
allowed that to occur.
that's what they got bumper bars for.
It's very impressive when they've done watch that once.
My only other comment, I'd like to see maybe affordable for one vehicle, maybe hearing it out, if someone wants to store multiple things.
So, or how about size of vehicle?
Sure.
Okay.
Total footage, I don't know.
Well, it might be a difference between a non-motorized and a motorized also, because we wouldn't have the problem of fluids.
Sure.
All kinds of different things.
All kinds of stuff there.
Thank you.
Let's see here. Next item is 5.5, which is use of city park for organized events. I know there's something in the packet regarding
There
that.
is, I reached out to our insurance carrier about what they are asking us to do and recommending. So essentially, you know, for a lot of events, we've asked them in the past, like for our first, I'd say first responders and others, they cover us for those things. The question becomes, what happens if someone wishes to utilize our park, say, for baseball? It's an organized event, it's a private outfit that's using it. We are basically, in this case, we have a situation where the group really takes care of the field. And we let them use it without renting. However, our insurance carrier says that's great, but we'd like to see some bonds and indemnity and insurance to go along with it. So
Okay.
they gave me, basically, they gave me the same applicant. Junction City has a program that they feel is on top of things. And we actually, our application that we have mimics that. What we do not require, however, is any insurance. So I know when we do our events, we require our vendors to have insurance. Our insurance carrier is suggesting that we also have a similar.
Are we named additional?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. This is the sheet I have here, which is just after our resolution. It says planning to use Orenda Municipal Facility. This is a quote. CIS has, you know, it's relatively low cost, but they are suggesting that we utilize this for our
And can they
organized events.
get their own otherwise? Or
Yes,
do
they
not
can.
want
They
that?
can go to Hometown Insurance.
Yeah, because you can get your own.
JC or
insurance, right?
whatever and get their own. That this would be, we are being courted right now, or being asked, you know, about using the baseball park for the ball field for the next Junior Dragons.
Mhm.
And so this is why I'm bringing this forward, is that I just think because we do already require it for everything else that we do, this is a smart thing for us, particularly since our insurance carrier is asking us to do so.
How does this tie into the situation that happened in Newport over the trails?
Well, that's
That's a separate item on the agenda.
separate item.
Okay, but I'm saying it's kind of related. If we're renting out our facility, it's,
Well, we're supposed to require that on a facility application too.
Yeah, and when we
They
haven't,
only have been
we
insurance.
haven't, we've done certain things, but this is like a large organized event. The other part of this also is that they're in our agreement or our understanding. We cannot, the restrooms and all that have to be left open for the public. They cannot be commandeered by a group that's using it. So in other words, we cannot close down our restrooms because of our grant. We are required to keep those restrooms in that park open. We can rent out the park bench, picnic bench separately and have that reserved. But the restrooms in that parking area, to the best of our ability, we cannot have that exclusively locked up for a group of people to use it. That was a bone of contention, I guess, a friction at the moment when folks felt the entire park was reserved for baseball activity, and some people were run off. And so I need to clear the air with that. this time.
And that's common with any park, so it's
I
not.
agree.
Yeah.
It's not every.
Yeah, like if you have your wedding over at, yeah.
Everyone has the same issue.
Everyone's
It's
still over there
not
running around.
uncommon.
Mhm.
People feel that have ownership of their program and want to do that. So, okay.
All right. Next item on the agenda is law enforcement IGA and law enforcement town hall.
I'll just report that the sheriff will be meeting with me within the next few weeks. He is very much interested, as he says he can bring it, do as much scope as you want. I mean, dive down as deep as you wish into how they do things, what the processes are. I said the town really is interested in your concepts of community policing and what you're doing, letting everyone know all the different things that we see in the patrol log. I think a lot of folks don't quite understand that their little town has a lot of action in it.
Yeah.
And we've received those comments at City Hall that they just didn't know why. Says, well, there's a lot going on. And in any town there is. It's just that we don't see it necessarily. So he's interested. I said also, let's also sit down and talk about additional law enforcement. I said, and I said, this is more along the line of traffic laws. The council has asked perhaps a little more dedicated time with that. He says, happy to sit down and do that.
Okay.
Prior to, working with our IGA. So that's the report there. But
Okay.
I did reach out to the sheriff and he is very anxious to talk to us.
Okay. Next item is recreational immunity update, impact on Monroe's paths.
So I gave you that email. I think Rep. Gomberg summarized it in his own way very, very well. This is in regard to a Fields versus the city of Newport, where a person was walking to the beach. And along the way, if you've ever been to Newport and all the little paths, Agate Beach and all that, you slip and slide down little things and crossing a little bridge and slipped and fell and hurt themselves and sued the city of Newport because of that. The city basically asked it to be dismissed for ORS 105, which is basically recreational immunity. And the trial court said no. And so the city appealed. The appeals appellate court said no. And basically, if this were to occur, because what the individual claimed is they weren't using the path for recreation. They were getting from the parking lot down to where they could have recreation. Okay, so kind of a fine point here. Or the appellate court said, you know what? Maybe she was, maybe she wasn't, but it's up to a trial, a jury to make that decision. So what that now forces every city into at the moment, right now, is that if someone is using your paths for what we might believe is recreation, and they get hurt and decide to sue us, we may ultimately prevail as a city.
You still pay the legal
But you
costs.
have to go all the way
You can't just
through.
get it dismissed like you
Dismissed
did.
and it's not
Cheaper to pay
reimbursable.
$1 million.
Right.
So what has occurred, when I wrote you the email, just kind of notifying you of this, letting you give some information, is the Senate has basically approved, this is a judiciary bill. And the judiciary bill is basically included some verbiage, including running, biking, and walking, okay, which is 3 words that were not apparently in the language, but now it is, at least that is, it's gone to the House. My understanding is that's coming up for a vote, and then it'll go to the Judiciary Committee itself. And once it comes back to the House and gets voted on it, this may solve the problem for everybody. In case it does not, that's why we have this discussion.
I hope it does, because if they think about it, that's gonna put the federal government on the hook too, because if anybody goes out and hikes
And the state.
on national property or the state, then that just leaves the door wide open.
Yeah.
The trial courts, of
So-
course, you can imagine that Oregon Trial Lawyers Association agrees or disagrees with.
Yeah, I mean,
They love it.
to me, it doesn't make sense. I mean, because she parked at a parking area and she used the trail to access the beach. That whole point of hiking to the beach is part of the recreation.
That's what the city of Newport said, and the appeals court, and the Supreme Court, by the way, turned down the request, so therefore they agree essentially with the appeals court. And so the law of the land in Oregon,
Where they said basically it's a political thing. If you want to change it, go to the
Yeah.
legislature.
go to your legislature.
Just doesn't make sense.
Oh, my God.
So in
We want to
Monroe,
use our public spaces.
what they're saying at this point, and this brings up another point, it would really, at this point, I'm hoping the state legislature does the right thing, but you never know. It could die in a very short session. You know, we just have a few more weeks left and it's over with. But it does bring up a couple different things. One is really the only improved path that we have here is the one in Red Hills. Okay, we have a quasi improved path in the city park, and this is really the access way that was the road access way that was built for our force main and our sewer pipes to go from the lagoon area down to the river. However, it has been used as a path. It is really a city access way. So CIS says, put up signs saying this is vehicle access only, everyone else use it at your own risk. There's some information in this packet. Please, you know, particularly if the Senate doesn't, the legislature doesn't deal with it, we'll want to maybe do some things, but basically it says this is, you know, use at your own risk. So you got to put up some warning signs. The other part though is always been here. I mean, this has always been an issue, and this is what they term constructive immunity. Okay, and basically what we are looking at is, let's say that we have potholes all over our gravel roads in Monroe. Who would even think we would have potholes?
Let's just say.
Or along our easements, along our streets where we have gravel, and there's, you see potholes, and someone trips and falls in our easement on those potholes. Problem. However, if our Public Works Committee, Advisory Committee says, you know what, this is a problem, we better come up with a plan. And we prioritize that plan, and we task the city with each year or each season going through a prioritized process of fixing these. Because we have a plan and we prioritize and we're putting money to make sure this happens. It's not done all at once necessarily. It's just that we have a plan in place that does give us some immunity because we've thought about it and done it. And it can even be a city administrator who tells the staff, you know what, we do need to fix, let's make a plan to do this, this, and this. Doesn't necessarily have to have council action. It's the same thing goes with our playground equipment and everything else that we have. If we have a plan, a maintenance plan, and actively prioritize and work through it. It doesn't mean it has to be done all at once. It's just that we have a plan and we're doing the best we can as a city to maintain it. Then you do have immunity from people saying, well, you folks, you know, should have known about this and didn't do anything about it.
So if we have a checklist that we went around and checked all the equipment
Yes,
on a rotational
audit,
basis.
an audit, and they gave me all the forms to make
So like
sure.
this playground.
Structures at the city park,
Yeah. Up.
benches up at the
Heights.
heights. And this last suggestion was if you have a park area that is unimproved at the moment, leave it unimproved. Don't do anything.
Do we have to put a sign up saying this is an unapproved park?
They
Use at
have,
your own
they
risk.
have recommendations for signage for everything. This town will be a city of signs at your risk.
Where's that? What's that song?
Can we just put a big one on either end of town saying
Say-
enter at your risk? And just call it
There you
good?
go. It's very depressing reading it, but I gave you that information.
Welcome to Monroe at your own risk.
At your own risk.
Yeah.
There you go. Unfortunately, that would be every town in Oregon at the moment. Anyway, so I just wanted you to get that information. I'm hoping the legislature goes through, but that's the background. It does affect us. But there are some things we can do to help reduce the risk as we move forward in case that. But also the idea of this maintenance plan and all that is something that is important.
Well, it's good. We need to have that anyway. So it's not like that's a really big thing. It's
Or
just
new,
that we need
actually.
to push forward and really get working on that.
Pedestrian river bridge. We have. Back, I gave you the river bridge. This is Ephrata. We'll give a grant for this to make this work. And this was spearheaded by John Gray-Dennis.
And this was just a pre-application.
This is a feasibility study, a technical memorandum, if you will.
Yeah.
You can see what the footbridge looks like.
This is still the one that is down in Springfield.
No, this is a brand new, this is, you see the preliminary, this bridge is,
So I thought it was like,
this bridge is designed to have a utility vehicle and also designed for water and sewer. Which is kind of important in one respect for grant purposes, because we've been asked to increase our force main. That's the size of the pipe going from our lift station that collects everything from the city over to the lagoons is currently 6-inch. It's been recommended, highly recommended, we move to 8-inch. It is buried, it's horizontally drilled under the river. So if you have another way of non-horizontally drilling it, such as having it conveyed over a bridge, then that it adds a little bit more resiliency and cost effectiveness to the city. Having a different route for our water also adds a little resiliency. It is currently attached underneath the Highway 99 bridge. So this would add additional access to that side of the river. Is a particularly like in our ice storm here or any other kind of thing where you would have a situation with the Highway 99 bridge, which is not deemed by ODOT in top number A1 condition. It's somewhere less than that versus a bridge that was designed to seismic standards, would give us access to the water plant and the other side of the river in case of disaster. So there's some avenues for grants and other things that might come our way that would help us build this.
so utility vehicle, you say it's a 12-foot deck. So is there a weight limit on that?
Basically, I was described as like an F-150.
So 6,000 pounds.
Oh, can you get his stick back?
Oh, yes. By all means. Here you go, sir.
I'll send you the PDF of all the slides.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah, that'll be helpful when we,
When the time comes.
Thank you.
So where to put it? We do have property by the lift station that could go across, and that's actually where the Dow Construction sites to that. There's other locations too, but that's private property, leased from specifically, that would need to be negotiated. That's up closer to the dam itself. But at this point, that's all things that if we could find grants or money to do this, that's.
are there also, so like, I know right now you said right now the pipe is dug down and it goes under and then comes back up. Are there environmental possible issues with the effluents going over the river versus under
Well,
in case of leaks?
well,
and
we're
whatnot?
gonna have to have permits for everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, and leaking underground, I think the EPA considered that as
Just as bad.
just as bad as
Okay.
overground. At least if it's over, you can fix it easier.
Yeah.
And you'll notice.
You'll notice it, yes, everyone will notice it.
Yeah. I mean, you can have an underground leaking forever.
Not know.
Yeah. Okay.
The
I just didn't know if that those environmental issues add additional complexity to the.
The going underground, I think you're gonna have permits regardless. If you go underground, you still have to have Corps of Engineers permission, and EPA permission, DEQ permission. Going over, you have the same amount of
It'll be more earthquake resistant up in the bridge anyway.
yes, this was designed for the D2 area that we're in, so it's
And would we just cap off the old one underground?
yes, we would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would we fill it?
They would probably recommend we fill it.
Like sand or cement? or
Kind of a
something?
slurry. Cement. There's a seal that they use. It's
Okay.
not bentonite. It's something they used it specifically used to seal those kind of pipes.
I would think we'd want to seal it so it doesn't collapse.
Collapse or do something. It's only a 6-inch pipe, but
You never know what it'll
you
do.
never know. I think we would be required to, as a condition of it.
I have a question related
Oh,
to
go ahead.
Counselor Rich.
Yeah.
Counselor Rich's question, would there be any wildlife or animal concerns with like birds flying over the river in that area? I know that we have osprey and herons down there, and that's 1 foot above the floodplain. Seems kind of low to me. I guess they could just fly over it higher. I don't know. I don't know if they're like nesting birds in that area. Excuse me.
This would have to go through a lot of scrutiny with the Corps of Engineers, just about every regulatory agency that I can think of would want us to have a permit. It's in the flood zone, so it's going to have that level of scrutiny too. It's not an inexpensive project. It's a $3.2 million project. No less in part because of the regulatory issues involved.
That makes sense. Thank you.
And with the, so there's a grant that John was looking into that would help with this or no?
Well, at the moment, the Dow Engineering threw a couple of ideas at us. But no one's looking at this
Okay.
point into anything specific.
Well, and I know we were talking about the water intake. I mean, I know that they have some funds there that, I know it's not 3 million. but
Right.
I don't know if we could combine the,
You were
project.
probably, usually the grants don't do that, but
Be nice,
but
but
I mean, if you're
because that's
already gonna be
intake
carrying water,
versus,
you
that's
know what I mean?
intake versus
Well,
pumping
you-
it back.
Yeah,
This would be more along the lines of resiliency, infrastructure,
okay,
small disadvantaged communities, emphasize, what we'd want to do is probably emphasize the resiliency part of it and safety and security, accessing our water plant. And then at the same time, emphasize, right behind it, saying that this helps our disadvantaged community because it allows people without vehicles easier access to and equity. There we go. That's what I want to use. Equity in accessing city resources, public resources.
and the other issue with this too is if it's going across to your city access only,
There we go. Right. Yeah, well, this is
if it all plays
danger
into the same,
Yeah,
your own risk.
using your own risk. I mean, it's another path, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah, like slip
Yeah.
and fall into the.
becomes another, yeah, exactly.
And of course, there's also, and I always have to mention, the ongoing costs. Bridge inspections are not inexpensive, and they do need to be done periodically by the city, and that would be a requirement of any grant.
Mhm.
That we also have the funding available and resources to hire engineers.
So the 10-inch water line is gonna be an upgrade also.
That'd be the same. We have a 10-inch right now, which is fine, that we don't really
We don't
need.
need one. Okay.
Yeah, if there were to be any additional storage, we would probably place it on the park itself.
Okay.
And then use that as a backup. To augment what we have up in the hill.
And the chain link fence? That's supposed to go on each side of it?
Yeah, there's supposed to be some way of.
Oh, to keep them from jumping.
Keep people from either the jumping or from trying to come down the embankments and destroy the buttons, on each side.
Thank you for that, Steve. We have old business. First item is short-term rentals.
The moment that is, I received all your information and along with everything else to try and put together a package for you to review.
Next up, Monroe Community Library, IGA.
My next meeting is next week.
Okay.
So we'll see how that works out. Our-
We'll hear at the work session about it.
Yes, I'll give you an updated work session.
Sounds good. Emergency and disaster recovery planning is the next item.
I talked to you a little bit about the resiliency hub. We have discussed that. That is still under, I haven't heard anything really new on it. It looks like the South Benton Food Pantry might be the non-city sponsor or person that the grant wants, which makes a lot of good sense. They're in a better position to handle things. How that works with the city in this building or any other building at this point is just, it's conceptual.
Right.
That's really where we're at. I'm gonna let Benton County, and I think they have the people in play. They have us. Food Venture, I think, is interested. They're already working with them on a grant anyway, to do this, to do other works. And so we'll just see how it plays out, what the real restrictions or conditions would be. Because I don't think they quite know that yet, working through this. I think they're just right now trying to get all the partners together so they can move forward with something.
Okay. All right. The last item here in old business is budget committee recruitment for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. Have we had any applicants?
I haven't had any applicants.
Okay. I'll have to hit social media again.
Okay.
Okay.
No,
No.
we have not had any applicants. Well, that's fine. We can do that during the public course. I do have one applicant at the very, very back.
I see that.
One of our committees.
Yes,
Two of our
I see that.
committees.
Two of our.
Two, not one, but two. All right.
Yes.
So yes, we have an applicant here for Public Works and Parks and Recreation. So, well, I think they will be a very nice addition to both of those committees.
They're from right there.
Awesome. Okay. Would you like me to send a letter to him?
Yes, please. Thank you, Mr. Barron.
All right, what else we got? Let's see. Next section is city events. I'm only aware of the barbecue and logging festival in May. Is there anything else that we need to be made aware of?
And that's on the 18th, right?
That's correct. Out St. Helens Day. You would remember that. I'm old enough to remember.
Yeah, I remember getting the ash next morning.
Oh, yeah, I do too. Okay, if you have an event, let me know, or you can send it to that email address on the agenda. Other than that, we can move to committee reports from each of the committee chairs. We'll start with budget. I don't know, we haven't, I mean.
We haven't
still-
set the budget.
I didn't get one yet.
Yeah, we're still, we haven't
We're trying
actually.
to recruit everybody and then
Yeah.
probably in the April, May
I would say
timeline for the
April-
first meeting.
April.
April timeframe.
Yeah.
April.
Okay.
So, you know, I guess technically we don't have a chair.
How many spots do we need to fill from last time?
The budget law suggests,
Well, we're
well,
supposed to have it
requires
equal,
one equal, yes.
but I mean, how-
If you can't recruit, then whoever shows up.
but I mean, do we know how many
I
were,
think it's.
we were short last
I
time?
think we need four.
Was it
Sure,
four?
yeah.
Okay.
We did, yeah, we were
Yeah, we tried and nobody,
wanted to be part of the budget committee.
Let's see if I can get Sheila in and my neighbors maybe.
Yeah.
Need to bring snacks.
it'd be really cool. We could like strong arm some of the people in our audience. or-
Yeah. Unfortunately for the budget, you have to be a citizen.
Yes.
Yes.
That might be a good incentive, though. All right, anyway, economic development, I think Steve, you had mentioned to me that we might have, Benton County, economic development folks.
They are very interested in coming to talk to us.
So I'm really
They
excited
do,
about that.
they have some ideas
Mhm,
for both manufacturing
mhm.
and they'd like to come talk to us.
Are we gonna have a makeup? Or are we just gonna schedule again?
I would say a schedule, maybe, these are regularly monthly.
Yeah, they
So I
are.
would just
Yeah.
say, let's.
Whatever the next one is in March.
It is in March, but I don't know if I have it written
We'll have
down
to
yet.
see if we can connect with
Yeah,
them.
and
then
I'll
or-
I'll let,
or April.
I'll let Darren know
Okay.
that, please.
Yeah, I forget, it's like the second or third Thursday, something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
They specifically, they have, OSU has lots of little spin-offs that they like to, that need space. And one of them was developing a coating that repels dust. And this is for farm equipment, but lo and behold, it also works on solar panels, which is a huge issue. with solar panels. And they do not need direct access to I-5 to do this. They're actually preferred to be somewhat out in the community, and that because agriculture is also one of the things. And so Monroe seemed like a very good fit for them.
It's really dusty at my house.
Yeah, I guess I told myself. Dust on us down here.
Well, I think we have a winner.
Other ideas, other things that would be nice to be able to have a conversation about
Yeah.
that in terms of our development.
Well, I see March 14th is the third Thursday in March.
Is that the third?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's not. It's
What
March
is
21st. 1, 2, 3.
Spring.
Mhm.
Here we go. March 21st.
6 o'clock.
Be there, be square.
I'm always square, but
Finance and personnel.
We rescheduled for next Wednesday, the 6th, and we have a few different topics. The 2024 work plan, pay adjustment discussion. I think there might be some lingering things there. New personnel, if Steve would like to talk about that, and the Oregon paid leave program, and updating the personnel handbook.
Sounds good. Ordinance, I don't think we have another meeting scheduled yet.
No, well, I think the last one we started talking about short-term rentals, but I think
Right, that was,
until we have something to work with, I think.
yeah. that
could
would-
probably
the next
schedule it
step
after.
Is to give you the updates.
So maybe at the work session or something like that, if we have an update, we can schedule
Makes total sense.
a
Yeah.
committee from there. or something.
Parks is next.
We're still just, well, now that we've got
We
one
have-
person,
We have a new member, so
we have
yes,
a person,
yes. Mhm.
so we could try to, we probably need to meet again anyway, because I think, aren't we supposed to meet quarterly
Yeah, I believe
for
that's
Yes.
correct.
parks?
Yes.
Yeah, so that would be actually, so we did our public works,
Mhm.
so March or April would be your next, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, so next month.
Okay. So we need to set one up for that, and we'll just be looking at our, I can say it, the the
Master
parks
plan.
plan.
Master
Master
plan, the master plan. Public Works.
So we just met and we've got a few action items. We're gonna be working on definitely getting some work plans done so that we can work on some things and get things prioritized. So not that we can't change things if we have something that's on fire, but we at least have an idea of what we need to do so we can prioritize and work on what we need to. We have new members, so that's exciting. So we're gonna be taking them on a tour of the water system so that they can see how all that works. And also we're gonna individually be kind of looking over at Dragon Drive and the parking issue there and getting some other input to see what we need to do there. And I know Steve's already made contact with the school and kind of been chatting with them. So we ultimately, if we have to have parking there, it would be better if it's parallel.
Mhm.
Or, you know.
Or
parallel on
are they
nothing.
still angling in over there?
Yes, yeah. And well, we don't have any signage, we don't
Yeah.
have any, so, and it's just gonna take some education, but also, to be fair, there's empty spots that they could be using instead of parking out there. So, also I kind of wanted to get the input of the fire department and stuff on what they would like to see, because it is narrower over there, and if there were an emergency or something where they needed to get in, I can see that being an issue, and that's, I mean, with egress and all that. I'm using all the wrong words, I'm sure, but what is it, ingress and egress, anyway, trying to get people in and out. If there was an emergency, I could see that being a huge issue. So,
Absolutely.
but anyway, so we're all kind of looking at that individually and then gonna come back and talk more about it, and then also see what the school, how the school responds to our chatting with them about it.
And I'll just add that the committee also advised that they would like to put some a stop sign
Oh,
at
yes.
Pine.
Yes.
So signage in our ordinances actually are fairly clear. So the committees can recommend it, and then it has to come to council for approval, and then city staff put it in place. So that's kind of the next step would be the advisory committee would make, it would come to you and we'd show you what it is and where it is, and then you would approve any signage changes or
Right.
traffic changes.
Gotcha.
So, and just, yeah, again, that's 7th and Pine, if any of you want to kind of check out or think about that. Because it'll be coming your way.
It's an uncontrolled intersection right now.
Oh, yeah, over there.
It's an
The
out of
7th and
control intersection.
Out of control. And there's chickens there too. So
Oh,
just
man.
remember that.
For
All
that.
kinds
It
of
used to be a
traffic hazards
Pile of
going
cars that
on.
we couldn't see around either.
Yeah, we
All
got
right.
it.
Okay, so I've got March 11th down as the work session, 6 PM here. Council comments, I know you have a comment you want to bring up.
Yeah, so a tragedy in our little community, and it involves one of our business owners here. And I noticed that they right now have their
RV.
fifth wheel
Yeah.
RV so that they can have somewhere to live. And so I was just going to suggest that maybe we can do some sort of a, whatever we do for people. What are we doing?
Exceptions?
An exception or something
Mhm.
so that they can know that we're, thinking of them, it's cool, figuring out kind of what's gonna work and how we can kind of support them on that. So, pardon me? Oh, not necessarily that, but just so that there isn't, because there's gonna be people that are gonna be irritated because somebody's parking a thing. I know, it's just trying to make everybody happy, but also in consideration of the fact that they have lost everything and, we need to, as a community, sometimes we just need to be able to support those.
They do have 30 days. And we don't have any restrictions on commercial property. We do have, you can live in a trailer for 30 days, a calendar. If it exceeds that, I think it would be appropriate for council just to simply say because that is part of our ordinance and everything.
Right.
So once it exceeds it, if they're there this time next month, just simply at our next meeting, I think it would be appropriate to either have a resolution, a simple resolution, just simply saying,
A variance or
a
something.
variance. It's an ordinance and it would be continuance of that ordinance.
So that was just all I was gonna say, is because I know that we have parameters and I just want to make sure that it's
Yeah, I think
addressed and not, so that if there are any other questions from people that might be
Inquiring.
inquiring, that we have it
Yes.
all
And
taken care of.
what I told staff is, because Mark let me know that over the weekend, all the city staff, that I said, well, they can use their trailer there.
Mhm.
I said, if it gets beyond 30 days, then certainly we can look at it. But
Right.
Okay.
I would suggest that, the next meeting, if it looks like we're still in dire straits and they haven't, and that's more than possible, it could be.
Very well.
Then
Yeah.
I think very appropriate for council to weigh in and make sure that they have an exception to that.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
very good.
good idea.
There you go.
Anyway, sorry, that was just
No,
my thing. I
nothing to be
was
sorry
trying to
about.
think ahead so that we.
You're being
Yeah.
proactive.
Seems like a construction permit.
Further comments, to the city council?
I haven't heard any updates from that SMAC political action or lobbyists and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it was SMAC.
It's
SMAC,
Well, the two things,
municipality, something.
right, so the only two things that I've seen for action at the moment, one was basically asking if they could use our city logo going to the Senate for supporting the inclusion of walking, biking, and running in, I think it was 1572A is the House Senate bill, which passed. So our little letter went there and it passed. The second thing that they're doing this session is actually about some infrastructure things, which I commented on, but it was primarily in support of City of Scioto, which wants to do something about certification of their lagoons. So
How do we get in touch so that they can add us to the mailing list? I don't know, I thought they were supposed to add I thought they were gonna add all the counselors to the email lists and
I
stuff
will
to,
add, I will add some.
okay.
Yeah, I didn't read, so you haven't you haven't seen anything?
No.
All right.
Any other comments?
Well, and also if they're calling out to everybody to call their, local representative, I
You'd
want
like
to know and then I can help out. Otherwise, if I don't know, then I'm not gonna call anybody.
You're right, and I still need our emails fixed. I don't have the new, I still have the old one.
Okay, so
And
Counselor.
then
I don't think we've switched over to the,
but my-
And
Yours
Counselor-
isn't working, so.
Okay. Counselor
Well, it
Williams.
could be working, it could be user error on my part.
Okay, well, I have to default to Steve. I'm sorry,
He's
Steve.
so good at it, he just can fix it in 2 seconds.
Okay, any other comments? guys?
don't forget, shop local. Yep, and drink your Ovaltine. Shop
Thanks.
local.